Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to say welcome to our CalTestBed Application Info webinar, which is being held in partnership with our Regional Energy Innovation Network partners, Blue Tech Valley and the WET Center at CSU Fresno. And I'd like to welcome you all and thank you all for your interest in joining us today. I'm going to go over the agenda real quickly. First, I'm going to provide an introduction to New Energy Nexus. Then I'll introduce our partners at Blue Tech Valley. We're also going to have an overview of the CalTestBed program and its value proposition for clean energy innovators. We'll then move on to how the program works, what the review and selection process is for applications, what the time frame is for the application review and selection process, the agreement structure once voucher recipients are identified and notified, and we'll end with some Q&A from the audience. So I'd like to introduce myself briefly. My name is Tenley Dahlstrom. I'm the director of the CalTestBed program, and I work at New Energy Nexus in Oakland, California. And New Energy Nexus is an international organization that supports clean energy entrepreneurs with funds, accelerators, and networks. And we started in California, but now we've grown to being in 10 countries globally. And our mission is to support diverse entrepreneurs to drive innovation and build equity in the global clean energy economy. So now I would like to introduce our excellent partner, Hella Peterson, who is the director of the WET Center. And she also manages the Blue Tech Valley Accelerator. Hella, if you would like to provide a brief overview.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for inviting me to participate in that in this webinar today. So the Water, Energy and Technology Center, we are housing the Blue Tech Valley Innovation Cluster, and we are part of Fresno State, and we're based on Fresno State campus in the Central Valley of California. The center itself was established in 2007, and since then we have focused on providing support and resources to water, energy, and ag technology innovators, entrepreneurs, ventures, startups. The Blue Tech Valley Innovation Hub or Innovation Cluster is one of 4 innovation clusters supported and funded by the California Energy Commission. And we cover the largest geographical footprint with 39 out of California's 58 counties. We have basically Blue Tech Valley on a hub and spoke strategy because we really want to work with entrepreneurs where they are at and really help build local ecosystems within our overall Blue Tech Valley Innovation Hub. So we work with a number, as you can see on the map here, with a number of CSUs, Humboldt, Chico, Sac State, Monterey Bay, and Bakersfield, and a number of other partners as well. And that is really to make sure we have regional expertise and support for the entrepreneurs in addition to the programs that we can offer. Because we do offer a wide range of programs within the Blue Tech Valley. We really have services that can go all the way to supporting an entrepreneurs that have an idea to a venture that are looking for funding and actually already have a product or technology on the market, but are trying to expand or grow. So we cover a bright variety of technologies, but also stages of entrepreneurs and ventures. So we basically have 4 main programs that we run. One is our technology innovation program, and that is a program where we evaluate technologies that innovators are interested in commercializing, because we really think it starts with a good technology before you can build a business on it. So that's that program there. Then we have our go-to-market plans. I'm jumping a little bit in the line here, but our go-to-market plans would be the next level of engagement with us. And it is where we enroll entrepreneurs on an ongoing basis. Many have gone through ties, have come into our partners or connected with us in other ways. And with those plans, we help them draft a path or plan on how they can move forward in achieving the goals that they're looking for in terms of getting to commercialization. It can be maybe participating in something like CalTestBed or CalSeed, or looking for other ways of demonstrations or wherever they're at and how those next steps looks like. So that's the go-to-market plans. Our marquee or flagship program is our Valley Ventures Accelerator and Advisory Program. And it's a 3 months accelerator where we really dive into exposing the ventures to tools they can use in their commercialization, and also building a network that they can use on this path moving forward. We have connected the accelerator with our advisory services. So we work with the companies one-on-one to really establish milestones and specific support that they need to get their commercialization moving forward. So that's the programs. Now we have a few other things that we do with our partners. We have a CEO crash course, and then we do also have physical space at the WET Center, plug and play, and open space as well. In terms of resources, we have a lot of things online. Obviously, we cover such a big area that we need that to reach the ventures that we work with throughout California. So we have webinars, we have an online video library with virtual classroom. We do a lot of events and networking activities, both online and in person as well. And then we have, as anybody else, newsletters, social media, other ways we're trying to engage and connect with our ventures. To share a little bit of the impact and the great results that the companies we have worked with, I just pulled through a couple of numbers here. So over the last 5 or so years, we have vetted about 350 different ventures and technologies throughout our programs, and 53 of them have gone through our accelerator. You can see a little bit here how they are divided into different categories. And of course, being in the Central Valley, we see a lot of technologies that are in ag and food processing, because that's the dominating industries in our area. I have a couple of names that you might recognize, or at least one day we hope you'll recognize them, that we have worked with that have been successful. Nitricity is one of them, sweet biofuels. So hopefully one day these names will be household names. They have in total raised over 70 million in private funding after participating in our programs, and raised over 150 million in total, created jobs, engaged in patents, either in progress already have gotten them. So we're very proud of what our ventures has been able to accomplish, and we hope that any one of you that are interested in connecting with us will reach out and hopefully be part of our program and our ecosystem as well. I have my information here. If not, I'm sure Tanya and her team will share it as well. We're always happy to chat with you, so feel free to reach out.
Hella, thank you so much. I really appreciate your partnership. Blue Tech Valley is one of the 4 regional energy innovation cluster partners that the CEC has cultivated along with New Energy Nexus to help us all collaborate and coordinate and help each other's efforts. And so many of the CalTestBed applicants are coming from, Lacey, from Blue Tech Valley, from Activate, and from Southern California Energy Innovation Network. So I just want to note that we really value our partners, and thank you so much, Hella, for providing that overview. While taking the time to do that, I also want to thank my partners at Momentum. We have Kula Addy and Victoria Patron, who are helping on the back end of this webinar. And Victoria is going to be helping me with the Q&A. So I would encourage everybody who has questions to please put your questions in the Q&A box, and we will address those questions at the end. Victoria will also be placing some comments in the chat box and adding links and some additional information as I go through the overview of CalTestBed. So CalTestBed is, its full name is California Testbed Initiative, and it's a laboratory voucher and commercialization development program for innovators and entrepreneurs working to bring mid to later stage clean energy concepts to market. It is funded by the California Energy Commission, and it's funded with EPIC funding, which is the Electric Program Investment Charge funding, which is a small amount of funding on every ratepayer's electricity bill in the state. And that funding is used to support various initiatives. CalTestBed accelerates entrepreneurs by awarding vouchers worth up to $300,000, depending on the type of testing that's needed, to test technologies at one of more than 60 testbed facilities across Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory and the 9 UC campuses that we work with. The funding for this program goes straight to the testing facilities, but the value of this is providing third-party testing at world-class facilities for clean energy innovators that have prototypes in hand and ready for testing. And I just want to make a note to thank our partners at the University of California Office of the President and Berkeley Lab, both of whom we have memoranda of understanding signed with, and they are helping us as our implementation partners. And then I also want to thank our subcontractors, Momentum, who's helping us with this webinar today, and Lacey, who has helped us in the past with our annual symposium. And so I also just wanted to say we owe a debt of gratitude to the California Energy Commission and their thoughtful approach to providing support to clean energy entrepreneurs, starting with the CalSeed program, which is our sibling program, also run by New Energy Nexus, which provides non-dilutive funding to clean energy entrepreneurs at a TRL from 2 to 4. Then CalTestBed is the next stage at TRL 5 to 7. And then they have a bridge program and a ramp program, and they're the conveners of this REIC cluster program. And they provide a lot of guidance and support to the entire ecosystem. So the benefits of CalTestBed, the real value proposition for potential applicants is that a voucher of worth up to $300,000 for use at one of our participating test beds will cover the cost of your testing. And it is an amazing opportunity for entrepreneurs to gain access to some of these testing facilities, which they otherwise would not have access to. And there's also, you know, the principal investigators that you would be partnering with and the graduate students that would be helping to, you know, run the tests that are necessary and document the testing in the reporting that goes to the entrepreneurs. It's a really huge value to them as they're accelerating towards commercialization and trying to de-risk their technology. There's also a powerful network of resources across our system at the UC and LB&L systems and campuses. There's also an opportunity to present your product to target customer groups and the next level commercialization partners. And when I talk about next level partners, I'm talking about investors, potential pilot and demonstration project partners, corporations that might be interested in acquisition or customers. And so we're trying very hard to make sure that those really catalytic conversations happen, that you have the opportunity to meet those types of stakeholder groups that'll help you accelerate towards commercialization. You'll also gain access to experienced clean energy entrepreneurs, industry experts, prospective partners, and utilities at an annual symposium that I've already mentioned that Lacey has helped us with in the past, and through our many networks. So New Energy Nexus has a gigantic Slack network that we'll give you the link to. That's a global network and almost 5,000 strong, but there's multiple different networks that you would have access to. There's also the additional funding opportunities that you can get knowledge of through the Empower Innovation Network platform that is also funded by the California Energy Commission to support clean energy innovators throughout the state. And then a community and ecosystem of fellow CalTestBed voucher recipients. We'll try to make sure that you all have an opportunity to connect with each other and have each other's contact information, because it is important to have that kind of supportive network of people who understand what you're going through and can potentially, provide hints and guidance along the way. So I've mentioned the regional innovation clusters already. They consist of Lacey, Activate, Blue Tech Valley, and the Southern California Energy Innovation Network. And each of these organizations represents a region of the state. So Blue Tech Valley, who is partnering on this webinar today, works in the Central Valley, and Hella showed you the entirety of their region that they work with. Lacey, the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator, they are in the greater Los Angeles area. Activate is in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. And then Southern California Energy Innovation Network is in the greater San Diego area. And I know that Activate has spread a little bit further than just the greater San Francisco Bay Area, but each of these organizations helps feed applicants into this program, and they're each in their own right terrific accelerators that can offer a lot of opportunities and assistance to clean energy innovators. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about our eligibility for the CalTestBed program. So the first part of eligibility is really talking about what types of innovations CalTestBed will fund testing for. And it's really focused on early to mid-stage technologies that are hardware or integrated innovations, which fall between the TRL levels 5 to 7. And we're really trying to focus on folks that already have prototypes in hand and ready to bring to a lab for testing. So TRL 5 is a laboratory scale prototype. TRL 6 is an engineering scale prototype. And the major difference between 5 and 6 is that it's a step up from lab scale to an engineering scale. And then the top of our scale is a TRL 7, which is a full scale, similar like prototypical system that can be demonstrated in a relevant environment. And these TRL levels are all based on the US Department of Energy's definitions of technology readiness levels. So what types of innovations will CalTestBed fund? Continued. I mentioned that we will fund hardware and integrated solutions that fit into one of 10 defined technology types. So we have 10 different technology categories, and I'll mention those further on in this presentation. And I just want to note that a qualifying integrated solution must feature a piece of hardware that works in conjunction with a software program to deliver the technology's benefits. And both of those things have to be innovations. So it can't we will not fund a software only innovation. And any existing prototype has to be ready for lab scale testing. As I mentioned, standalone software solutions, even those that complement existing energy infrastructure, are not eligible for this program. And then also any company, this is new clarification on our guidance. Any company that is a CalSeed awardee, which is our sibling program that I already mentioned, needs to have already completed their concept award and must have already submitted final reporting to be eligible for CalTestBed. They could be in the prototype award stage, but they must have already completed their concept award. So I had mentioned the technology types and definitions, and I know this is a bit of an eye chart, but we'll be sending around this presentation so you can fully read the definitions, but I just wanted to go over the types that we will fund: building technologies, energy efficiency, energy storage, grid technologies, industrial and agricultural innovations, Internet of Things, material-based innovations, renewable generation, transportation, and water technologies. And all of these technology types need to have a connection to clean energy innovation. They can't just be, desalinization plant technology, or, some kind of material that does not have a relation to clean energy. All of these things have to be in relation to clean energy technology innovations. In terms of eligibility, the program is open to applicants working on innovations with existing prototypes, as I've already mentioned, and they need to be designed to provide benefits to the California ratepayers. This is because of what I mentioned previously. The funding comes from the electric program investment charge, and that is a fund that requires that all of the funding benefit the ratepayers of California, since they're the ones chipping into the fund to fund these innovations and these programs. The companies must be located in California, provide their California address, and be registered and in good standing with the California Secretary of State. They need to be a registered entity. They don't need to be incorporated in California. Just to clarify, because I've gotten this question before, lots of companies are incorporated in Delaware because of tax purposes or whatever, but they need to be registered as a business entity in the state of California, and they must be in good standing. And we're taking this very seriously. I just want to, make sure everybody understands that we will be checking as part of our eligibility review as to whether or not the entity is registered with the state. So when you do apply, please use the name that you've registered with, because that will be extremely helpful when we're doing our eligibility review. So along with the fact that this is EPIC funded, the innovation needs to be aligned with EPIC goals as well. So those goals include reducing costs for California ratepayers, increasing grid reliability for the state of California, and improving the safety of California's energy mix. So all of those things will be questions in the application that the entrepreneur and the applicant needs to address as they're applying for this program. I've already mentioned the requirement of being within technology readiness level 5, 6, or 7. And then that all of the testing that is being proposed is with a facility that is in the CalTestBed directory. So we have the CalTestBed directory online that you can review. There are a few modifications being made presently, but the entire directory will be updated before we even open our application period in July 25th. So I just wanted to let you know you can peruse the directory now and look at all of the facilities and capabilities that exist there. But in the application, you will have to rank your first, second, and third choice as part of the application process. And that just gives us a little bit of wiggle room, because we need to work with our partners to make sure that they have the bandwidth, the equipment, and that it's a good fit in terms of testing capabilities. And I also want to make sure that everybody understands that they can be in individuals and teams, they can be businesses, they can be nonprofit organizations that apply. However, universities, like standalone universities, are not eligible to apply for this program. So now I want to move on to really like how this process works in terms of applications. So there's an online application portal. An applicant will set up their own kind of login to our application portal. You will submit your online application. There will be an eligibility review that is an internal review to ensure that all applications meet our general eligibility requirements. And if there's anything that we have any kind of gray area, the CEC also reviews and provides input on. So the California Energy Commission works with us to make sure that we're on track with all of the eligibility. And then there's a technical review where each application is scored by a subject matter expert in the technology category that they have defined or self-identified as. And there will be scoring, and then we'll make sure that we have a final review where there's a meeting and all of the technology reviewers, the technical reviewers, they're all subject matter experts, and we will all be on a Zoom together, and we'll look at the final results and make the final recommendations for voucher recipients. Once the voucher recipients, recommended voucher recipients have been identified, that list will be circulated around the CEC just for their once over. And then we will also circulate it to all of their first choice laboratories for them to take a first review and make sure that the requested testing matches with the capabilities at that campus or at that facility. Once we identify that everything is okay, we can move forward, then we'll have a laboratory scoping consultation in which the applicant has a structured conversation with the principal investigator at the facility they'd like to work at to define a scope and schedule. So looking at the testing protocols and being realistic about what can be accomplished in the 9-month testing period that is allowable. So no testing can go beyond 9 months total time. We do allow for an extra month at the beginning for setup and an extra month at the end for teardown and reporting. So the entire period could be 11 months. However, testing can be paused if there is some supply chain issues and you don't have the materials that are needed to do the installation or conduct the testing. We can press pause on that 9-month testing period and pick it up after whatever the delay that's occurring. We can pick it up after the delay has been resolved. So just so you know that it's not necessarily a total of 11 months on a calendar, there can be some pauses in that testing period for whatever reason, as long as it's a valid reason, we can do those pauses. Once the laboratory scoping consultations occur and a scope and a schedule are developed, then the laboratory and the campus personnel put the budget to the program because they are the ones that will be receiving the funds. They understand how much all of the staff time and equipment and everything, all of that will cost, like any kind of equipment use or any purchase of materials that are necessary. So the campus puts together the budget. The entrepreneur that is applying looks at the budget, everybody's in agreement, we're all on the same page. I provide my feedback to make sure that everything is in alignment and doesn't exceed any of the criteria. and then it is submitted to the CEC for just review and approval. It does not need to go through a business meeting. It does not go to the full commission. It is reviewed by staff at the CEC, and then we are given a green light to go ahead and start the contracting process. So at that point, once the CEC says, yes, this looks good, you can move ahead with your contract execution. That's when we say the voucher's been awarded and we get the contracting all executed and signed off on. All applicants will have access to the templates. And just so everyone knows, there is no negotiations in terms of those contracting templates. Those are standard, and we will not make any changes to our standard language. The only thing that is adjustable by the entrepreneur and the principals, investigators, and the campus staff is that statement of work document, which is attached as attachment A to all of our agreements. So just so you know, there will be space on the application where you check a box to say that you have reviewed these terms and conditions for these agreements and that you agree to those terms and conditions. And that's a requirement of being an applicant for this program. And then once all of the applications or once all of the agreements are executed, then the testing can begin. So the review and selection process is that the applications are submitted. I've already talked a little bit about the eligibility review. Part 1 of the application is all about initial eligibility questions that ensure that the project meets geographic, TRL level, EPIC alignment, technology type guidelines, and that the applicant has reviewed and agrees to the contracting templates, terms, and conditions, like I just mentioned. Part 2 of the application is the part that is really going to be scored by our technical advice or by our technical reviewers. And this will require a longer form response to 4 scoring categories. So that means innovation, scalability, feasibility, and market potential. And each of these responses are limited to 500 words. So the application will require that you select your top 3 choices, as I've mentioned already, in the laboratories. And I do want to note that within the application, there's a lot of guidance about what we're looking for in our application manual in each of those long form questions, the innovation, scalability, feasibility, and market potential. I would recommend all applicants looking at the application manual, looking at exactly what the questions that we're hoping that you'll answer in those sections, and following our guidance to the letter. That's really my recommendation for success in this space. And then just so that you know, each of those sections is scored equally. So the scores are going to be averaged from the 3 reviewers that are reviewing and submitting their scores. And each one of those sections will have an equal weight. And we are very careful about making sure that we recruit subject matter experts in these different categories from around the country, so that we have less likelihood of a conflict of interest. And we ask our technical reviewers to recuse themselves if they have any familiarity or have worked with any of the applicant companies previously. We are very, very careful about making sure that there is no conflict of interest and that any kind of conflicts are immediately mitigated. Now, we're trying our best to make sure that we reach out to every corner of the state and every community. But the one way that we can ensure diversity in our application pool and in our support, so that we're supporting companies throughout the state of California, is that we're working with each of these regional energy innovation cluster partners. And then we also, so when we make our recommendation, we recommend the top companies or the top scoring applicants in each of these regions. So we will get a similar number of applicants or recommended vouchers from the San Francisco Bay Area, from the Central Valley, from Greater Los Angeles, and Greater San Diego. And you'll see it's basically based on zip code as to, which region your organization will fall into. And it will be based on the zip code of your business address in California. So I've already talked a bit about the laboratory scoping consultations. Once the testing capability is confirmed by the lab, there will be a very structured 1.5 to 3 hour consultation process. There will be in that Zoom, there will be the recommended applicant, the facilities principal investigator, and independent third-party representative, and any other campus representative, whether or not it's a budget person or maybe some folks who might be helping with the testing. So it is a relatively small group on that call, and that call is meant to determine that scope and schedule. The voucher approval, execution of agreement package, and commencement of testing, I've already talked about that a little bit. But once that statement of work is submitted to me, I'll review it. I'll ask any questions and clarify anything in that SOW. And then there will be 3 different rolling deadlines for the application or for the statements of work to be submitted to the CEC for review and the green light to move forward. Because some companies processes might move more quickly than others. So we're trying to make sure that we're not holding everybody up by having a deadline super far in the future. And we're, providing an opportunity for folks who are ready to go to get approval and to move forward. So in terms of the application timeline, we're in the process. This is our second workshop webinar, and we're holding 4 of these, one with each of the regional energy innovation clusters. There's 2 more that will be happening, one on July 7th in partnership with Lacey, and the other on July 14th in partnership with Activate. And if you would like to attend those, or even just see the first part of those, to see what Lacey and Activate offer to the clean energy entrepreneurs of the state of California, feel free to register. And please feel free, if you know of anybody who might be interested in CalTestBed or in either of these incubators, please feel free to share those links. We're trying to get the word out, and we're trying to magnify the messaging of this opportunity to as many communities and as far reaching as possible. So that's happening right now. The application will open on July 25th. But with all this information that I'm providing to you, you can actually start getting your application together nearly immediately, because in the application manual, it's got all the questions. So you can start preparing now, but just so you know, the application will open July 25th, will close August 19th. Once the applications are closed, it's 11:59 p.m. PST on August 19th that it's closing. So get your applications in by then. Please do not dilly-dally, because we will not be likely to be providing extensions on this. Then the review process of the eligibility review and then the technical review will go from August 22nd till October 20th, because it will take several weeks for us to do that initial screening and then have the technical reviewers provide all of their input and scoring. Then the laboratory consultations that I mentioned will start the week of November 21st. And those will be for several weeks and potentially even a couple of months. Those consultations will take place to make sure that the statement of work is clear, to make sure it has been properly reviewed, to make sure that everything in that is something that the facilities can achieve, and that the CEC has had an opportunity to review and give us the green light on moving forward. And then the testing begins once all of those contracting documents are fully executed. So I just mentioned briefly that there's multiple agreements. And the two agreements that the entrepreneur is really going to be mostly looking at is the UAE, which is the user agreement for entrepreneurs between the entrepreneur and the test bed, and the voucher recipient agreement between CalCEF, which is our legal entity name, CalCEF Ventures, but CalCEF is New Energy Nexus. So the agreement between New Energy Nexus and the entrepreneur and the test bed. The California Energy Commission, you can see above, has an agreement with CalCEF / New Energy Nexus. We also have MOUs, which I mentioned, with the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab and the University of California Office of the President, which those MOUs cover them as being our implementation partners. And then we have an agreement with each of the 10 campuses that we're working with. So Berkeley Lab and the 9 UC campuses, New Energy Nexus has an agreement there. So it's really like a triangular agreement structure. And the signed statement of work that was approved by the California Energy Commission is attached to those agreements. And that's really the binding factor that binds them all together. Finally, there's a bunch of resources. I wanted to let you know that the application manual for 2021 is currently available. We're making a few tweaks to that presently, and we'll update it shortly. But for the most part, all of the application manual information is still relevant. The facilities directory is available and will be updated slightly with a couple of new facilities at, I think, UCSB and UC Riverside. And then when it's time, I don't think you need to look at this video presently, but when it's time, there is a click-by-click video on how to set up your own profile within our application platform. So we will be sending that out and have that available on our website once the application portal is open for applications. Finally, I want to talk about connecting with New Energy Nexus and the entire ecosystem. So I encourage entrepreneurs to connect with our New Energy Nexus Slack network and check out our New Energy Nexus website. You can sign up to get our newsletter, which provides lots of information about funding opportunities and news and events in the clean energy space. The Slack network has nearly 5,000 folks globally. If you want to check out any of our YouTube videos, we have a whole bunch of videos up on YouTube. I would encourage entrepreneurs to follow CalTestBed and New Energy Nexus on Twitter, and then also, follow both on LinkedIn as well. And I believe that there is a New Energy Nexus Facebook page that you can connect with as well. Finally, the Empower Innovation network that's funded by the California Energy Commission is an amazing opportunity for entrepreneurs in the state of California and even more broadly to connect with other companies, to put up their own public profile, to identify funding opportunities and webinars and events. And it's a really, really terrific platform, which, showcases all of these terrific innovators, accelerators, and funders. So I would encourage everybody to check out that platform and sign up for that platform as well. I also want to note that I'm involved in a couple of other things. One of those things is the American Made Challenges. I just want to put in a little plug for the solar and solar enabling technologists on the line. There is a webinar coming up on July 13th for the American Made Solar Prize Round 6. And this is a prize competition where you can get prize money. And it's no reporting or anything. It's just funding for you to do what you need to do. And it is run by the US Department of Energy and it's funded by DOE and administered by the National Renewable Energy Lab. And so I just want to make a note that there's a webinar. The link is in the chat, and that will be taking place on July 13th. Additionally, our sister program or sibling program that's called the Third Derivative, they are currently taking applications until August 25th. And so I just wanted to make a note of that and make sure that that link is also in our chat, because that may also be of interest to the innovators on the line here. And so now I just want to provide some time to address any questions that have come in. And I know Hella is still on the line. So if you have questions about Blue Tech Valley and the capabilities at the Wet Center, please feel free to ask those as well. And Victoria is going to curate the Q&A.
Hi. So I have couple of questions from Gabriel Marin. How certifications of testing obtained through CalTestBed are welcomed in other states and countries?
Oh, well, we do not provide certifications. We provide third-party testing. And so since these entities are world-class facilities, we'll provide the results, or the facilities that you're working with will provide a report that has all of the results. And so you can show potential funders, you can show potential partners. Here is the information that we got from our third-party testing. And so we are ready to now, have a pilot or a demonstration project. I just want to say that anything that is provided by CalTestBed in terms of results, you can talk about it as in a very factual way. If you're a voucher recipient that's worked with one of the facilities, you can say, we conducted testing at this lab. Here are the results of the testing, but not utilize any of the campuses or Berkeley lab as saying verified, certified, or, anything that sounds like an endorsement from those entities. So you can make factual statements about your testing and the results that were identified during the testing. But there is some considerations about the language you use and how you talk about the results.
Thank you. Gabriel Marin would also like to know, what is the difference when using Blue Tech services versus CalTestBed?
Oh, well, Hella is typing an answer presently to that. But I just want to note from my perspective, Blue Tech Valley is, they provide different accelerator services. CalTestBed is really providing third-party testing, access to world-class testing facilities for technology readiness level innovations from 5 to 7. I think Blue Tech Valley and some of the other accelerators we work with regionally, they are working on earlier stage companies as well. But we are only working with and supporting innovators that have a prototype in hand for testing.
Thank you. Next question from Andrew Mercier. Looks like Hella is also answering the question. So just from your perspective, is there any interest here to reduce harmful emissions on gas and diesel engines? Gas and diesel engines are not going away anytime soon, but it seems that EV is all anyone can talk about, and it is not a good enough solution by itself.
Um, there's not any, I don't think that any kind of gas or diesel innovations that perpetuate the use of gas and diesel would be eligible for the program. We are looking at ways to remove fossil from the system, and not support the continuation of fossil use.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mark Roest asks, how can we fit into the schedule? Once we have our technology up to TRL 4, possibly before July 31st, we will be integrating it with existing mature technologies, advanced printing systems for solar thin film, and ceramic floor tile factories with battery components. That means we will rapidly go through the higher TRLs, and we expect to be in lab scale production by late this year for solar.
Okay, so if you are going to be at a TRL 4, I mean, what we need is a lab scale prototype that is ready to go when you apply. So that is what we are trying to do. If you can look at the TRLs and clearly identify yourself as between 5 and 7, when you're completing your application, the applications don't close until August. So if you're already at a 5 at that point, then you would be eligible. Otherwise, if you're not ready at that point, and this is one of the sticking points with CalTestBed, is some companies overestimate where they're going to be at and don't have their prototype ready when it's time to actually conduct the testing. And so we want companies that have prototype in hand, are ready to go and ready to start testing as soon as all of those agreements are signed. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands that that's a requirement. These funds are not going to be given to the entrepreneur to complete their prototype. These funds are going to be given to the labs to conduct the third-party testing. And so we need to have the prototype ready to go once those agreements are signed. If it's not ready this year, then you can submit for next year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sutton Goldner asks, if our company utilizes a system of new technologies at various TRLs, can we carve out the technologies that are at the appropriate TRL for this program? We are looking to test the parts of the process that are at the right TRL.
Yes, if you can identify and separate out, one piece of technology that's part of a system, that's absolutely fine. If it's at the right TRL and you can deliver it to the lab for testing and it fits within all of the criteria, absolutely, you are welcome to do that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Last question from Peter Jordan. How about innovative hydrogen technologies?
Right now, we are not focused on hydrogen. That is not one of our areas that we're funding. But I think that the CalSeed program may be funding hydrogen. So depending on what TRL you're at, I know the next CalSeed round of applications is going to be in like Q1 23 because they just welcomed a new cohort. So their next funding round and their application period is going to be in Q1 of 2023. But we're still working on these technologies that have been clearly defined in our application manual.
Thank you.
Sure. Are there any other questions from folks? Victoria?
Oh, no, that concludes it.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more just popped through.
Okay.
One more from We have one from Thomas. Do you see a lot of autonomous energy infrastructure inspection systems?
Okay, hang on. Let me let me take a look at that. Where did that one come in?
That one is from the chat.
Oh, okay. Autonomous energy infrastructure inspection systems. There has been at least one CalTestBed company that is that, or that has that as one of their aspects. I have not seen a ton of those, but I think that if you can make sure that they fit within the criteria and the definitions, the technology definitions, then absolutely, yes.
Thank you. One more popped through. Eden Prabhu asks, what about methane abatement?
I think it would depend on the innovation. I think
All right.
some of these are things that we would have to talk through with the CEC and see in terms of the gray area, whether or not they would be eligible. And so it's hard for me to make this call at like right now on the spot as to whether or not they would be considered eligible. So I don't want to make any promises now. But yeah, if it fits within the definitions that we provided, then it will certainly be considered. And I will work and make sure that with the CEC's guidance, that the eligible companies are considered and scored.
Thank you.
Sure.
That was my last question.
Excellent. Well, everyone, I just want to say thank you very much again for your participation. Thank you so much for your interest in CalTestBed. I deeply encourage you to look at that, the Empower Innovation platform that's at empowerinnovation.net. It's a really great platform, and the CEC would love to see more folks using that. It's a huge network already, but they're trying to continue to support its growth. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we'll be following up with an email that summarizes some of the links and provides a link to the video recording of this and any other important links that we've mentioned in the presentation today. So please keep your eye on the CalTestBed Twitter and LinkedIn. We'll be making announcements, and we'll be updating our website with the link to apply once the time has come. And I would just like to thank everyone for your time and interest today.